Hello, I'm Mariam Jai and this is Buckingham News. Our top stories. April is Autism Awareness Month, meant to highlight the lives of the estimated 700,000 Brits with a disability. April is also Jazz Appreciation Month. The genre is celebrated around the world in different ways, even here in Buckingham. Heart disease is the most common cause for death in those under 65, but is also easy to prevent. April is Autism Awareness Month, a part of the year dedicated for professionals, parents and advocates alike to spread understanding of the spectrum of autism and its prevalence in schools and communities across the UK. Matt Harris has the story.
Autism Awareness Month here in the UK prompts the heightened understanding and care of people with autism spectral disorder in hopes that society as a whole become more accepting of the condition. This includes the promotion of various organisations and charities across the country. The Sunrise programme here in Buckingham is just one of the many autism therapy programmes across the UK. It was set up by the mother of Arav Khanna, a 6-year-old boy who enjoys playing and learning at the same time. His mother, Unati, believes that this will help him cope with his autism.
In the Sunrise program, you enhance what the child enjoys. So if the child enjoys being on the swing, you let the child enjoy being on the swing, and then you take the swing one step ahead by maybe monkeying around the swing. So the child is enjoying his activity, and then you add interaction to that, and that interaction starts becoming enjoyable. And because we know that it's a social disorder and the interaction is the problem with autism, making the interaction enjoyable is the most important key.
Autism is a condition that affects social interaction, communication, interests and behaviour. But apart from the learning difficulties and the social stigma that surrounds them, is the difficulty with diagnosing it.
It's difficult to describe it specifically. It's more of a collection of different things that are involved with somebody who has autism, finds very difficult to communicate socially, to understand and read body language in others and social behaviour. Sometimes the processing of sensory information is difficult, and certainly the way that information is processed.
If you would like to help with Autism Awareness Month, charities just like the Sunrise programme, such as Autism Aware UK, the Fred Foundation and Music for Autism, are always looking for contributions to help support their cause. This is Matt Harris, Buckingham News.
Last week, Mr. Keith Boyfield from the Institute of Economic Affairs gave a talk at the university on the influence exerted by think tanks on the public policy process. Alice Hills has the story.
As government decisions continue to affect us all, those with intention to influence them continue to gain traction through think tanks and lobbying. Keith Boyfield, who has extensive experience in the UK and overseas, held a seminar in the Anthony de Rothschild building last Wednesday. Keith Boyfield spoke about the evolution of think tanks and the effects they'll now have on the policy-making process. Using his experience, he evaluated their achievements, independence and the challenges they'll soon face.
I think that the more influential think tanks become, the more they will come under the scrutiny of both the media and legislatures around the world. And as they're seen to be influential, there'll be a demand for more accountability and more transparency. So that's my prediction for today.
The seminar provided an insight into the two-sidedness of think tanks, how they receive adverse criticism yet also gain popularity. It gave people that attended an opportunity to freely discuss what effects we might expect to see in the future. With London and Washington DC making legislative stands, the people that attended the seminar now have an educated insight into think tanks. This is Alice Hills for Buckingham News.
Cycling for leisure has grown in popularity, often leading to clashes between motorists and cyclists. In an effort to ease the tension on the roads, a cycling path has been built between Buckingham and Winslow. Mino Omagomi went to see if it's in use.
Cycling has become less of a casual summer days activity, with more than 300 cycling clubs across the UK. The rise in cyclists has resulted in conflicts between cyclists and motorists. One of the major sources of conflicts is space on roads. According to several complaints made by Buckingham inhabitants on social media, the cyclists have been allegedly using the road rather than a cycling path created specifically for them. The cycling path from Buckingham to Winslow was completed in January this year. Plans for the cycleway and footpath were first revealed in September 2016. This project aims to get people out of their cars and onto their 2 feet or 2 wheels.
Building the cycleway from Buckingham to Winslow enables people living in Buckingham to access the railway station in a cost-effective, exercised way that actually means they can incorporate daily exercise with their journey to work.
We asked cyclists what their views are on cycle paths and specifically the route from Buckingham to Winslow.
The cycling path's a really good move. It really helps get people out on their bikes, and it's going to provide a vital link between Buckingham and Winslow.
It's not so good for road cyclists because of the interruptions that it has.
On the whole, I quite like them. They're also good for families, get my kids out on them, feel safe.
By voicing their opinions, local cyclists and motorists hope to see improvements in the near future. This is Mina Magomi, Buckingham News.
And now over to sports with Matt Powell.
Thanks, Mariam. A new social session has come to the University of Buckingham in the form of Ultimate Frisbee. The new sport event is held on Ford Meadow Field on Wednesday afternoons. Amarachi Duru went along to find out more.
Ultimate Frisbee is a team sport in which players seek to score points by passing a frisbee to a teammate over the opposing team's goal line. It is a popular sport played by thousands in over 42 countries. Ultimate Frisbee is compared to a lot of sports because of its flawless passing skills and non-stop movement and endurance. Though it has its own unique features, one of them being that there is no referee. Originating from pie dishes thrown around by American students, Frisbee has been around for most of this century, and Ultimate Frisbee can now be recognized as a pro sport. Every 4 years, our national team, Great Britain Ultimate, compete at the World's Ultimate in Guts Championship to qualify for the World Games. But if you are a beginner, it is an easy game to learn and fun to play.
Ultimate Frisbee session, which is put on by the Buckingham Sports Union. It's part of a programme of funding that we are hopefully going to get from a scheme called Sportivate. So unfortunately today was quite a quiet turnout. We only had about 10 people, but in the coming weeks we're looking to push it a bit more, get 20, 30 people down.
Ultimate Frisbee requires speed, agility and endurance, but most of all it's a fun team sport, perfect for competitions as well as a casual game between friends. This is Amarachi Duru with Buckingham News.
According to a recent health report, more than 20 million people in the UK are physically inactive. In order to raise awareness, we sent Yasmin Saray to get tips and advice on ways to kickstart a more active lifestyle.
British Heart Foundation revealed that the average man spends over 1/5 of his lifetime seating. Many are unaware of the consequences of physical inactivity. Sedentary lifestyles increase all causes of mortality, double the risk of cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and obesity. Exercise has long been known to lower risk factors like high blood sugar and high cholesterol, which in turn reduces the risk of heart disease and diabetes. If you are on a tight schedule or hate the gym, the NHS website provides you with a selection of 10-minute equipment-free fitness routines which can be done at home.
I think it's important not only in terms of potentially reducing your risk for lifestyle diseases, but also in terms of your physical and emotional well-being.
If you want to see if you're at risk for heart attack, stroke, or HBP, then there are a variety of quizzes on the website American Heart Association. HBP quiz is titled, Can You Escape the Silent Killer?
Whether it's a 30-minute jog around the park or a 10-minute quick exercise at home, it will make a difference. Yasmin Terry, Buckingham News.
In other sports news, MK Dons sold discounted tickets to Buckingham residents and anyone with an MK18 postcode at the Old Tanlaw Mill last Tuesday. The match that sees MK Dons versus Sheffield United will take place at the MK Stadium on Saturday, 22nd of April. And now back to the studio.
The history and music of jazz will be celebrated across the world this April as we are now in Jazz Appreciation Month. As an annual event, it pays tribute to jazz as both living and historic music. Autumn Tang reports.
Jazz initially grew out of New Orleans clubs in the 1920s. Since then, jazz not only developed into a major genre, but also laid the foundations for rock and roll.
The origins of jazz are deeply connected to African-American culture within the United States, though many countries have since contributed their own styles, created a variety of subgenres.
I like jazz because it's all about expression. It's about just going crazy and doing whatever you want. You know, that's really the sole purpose of jazz, is improvising and just doing everything on the spot, and it's about having fun.
I was first inspired by stories I've heard of other famous people starting off in jazz clubs, and I thought, wow, that's really cool.
Jazz Appreciation Month ends on the 30th of April, which is International Jazz Day. The 6th Avenue International Jazz Day will be celebrated worldwide, with Havana as the global hottest city. UNESCO will be live streaming a jazz concert from Cuba to commemorate the occasion.
Jazz Appreciation Month gets artists and fans from around the world to show their love and appreciation for jazz. This is Autumn Town, reporting for Buckingham News.
If there's one thing that we remember from school, it's the day that we're introduced to the great Japanese art form that is haiku. To celebrate International Haiku Day, local students have gathered together to write their own haikus. Yan went along.
April 17th is the International Haiku Day, which first began in 2007 and was adopted by the Haiku Foundation in 2012.
The way to celebrate Haiku International Portrait Day is simple. Get out your pen and pencil, wander in nature, and search for inspiration.
The first thing to say is that haiku is an international genre anyway. Although it started in Japan, there are probably more people writing outside of Japan than inside of Japan these days.
In the University of Buckingham, the haiku competition is popular among all students. They need to write their own haiku in 5 minutes and compare with each other.
My Japanese haiku is 長い春、じっとこらえて春らんまん. This haiku means winter is so long, but you can see brilliant spring after overcoming hardship.
My haiku in Japanese is 金縛りどうでもよくなり諦める. It means like I gave up to face with echoes when I was bound hand and foot because I felt like I was never gonna win the coast.
My haiku is ロンドンへ行くも行かずも変わらずに. In English, to London, no impact whether I go or not.
2017 International Haiku Day, fun for everyone. This is Yuan reporting for Buckingham News.
The 16th April marked the festive holiday of Easter. To celebrate this momentous event, we asked Grumpy Neil to make us a chocolatey treat.
I've been forced into the kitchen yet again, but this time to make Rice Krispie cakes like the child I am.
For this recipe you will need 50 grams of unsalted butter, 100 grams of chocolate, 3 tablespoons of golden syrup and 100 grams of Rice Krispies. Firstly, melt the butter, chocolate and golden syrup on a low heat or in the microwave. Once this has cooled, pour the Rice Krispies and mix in together.
Unfortunately, I had to make a second batch because it looks like congealed slime. Yum.
Spoon the mixture into cupcake cases on a baking tray and leave in the fridge to set.
This recipe is simple and easy, so why don't you get into the kitchen this Easter? This is Neil Fotheringham for Buckingham News.
Thank you for watching Buckingham News. We'll see you next week.